I should say that I'm going to be talking 100% about communities. And this question of community empowerment is an interesting one.
People have the power already. It's just they don't necessarily remember they have it.
And that's a difficulty that I think we have to undo. How do we get to question this? I think it's by getting involved in the communities that exist at the moment.
As a social enterprise, my goal is to make my services available to everybody, regardless of their financial status.
Communities realising their own power.
And we offer after-school clubs, we offer volunteering opportunities, whatever the young people want to do, we do basically.
It's really a question of just getting out of the road a lot of the stuff that holds communities back from doing a lot of stuff themselves.
There's a lot of people out there who could use support and they can't get it.
So come on everybody.
They could be out there doing stuff with an organization like myself.
And I think what happens when you get a system where there's a huge expectation of people doing stuff for themselves is you get tremendously resilient people.
It's a good thing because it brings people together.
Everyone talking together, working together.
A lot of the time in Scotland or in life, we're full of what we're trying to avoid. I don't think that works. I think we need to have a pretty clear idea of what we're heading towards.
So the Youth Cafe is an amazing place. It's an amazing space for young people to feel safe. They can come in, they can volunteer, they can up their skills, they can just feel like a community in here. And again, that's why the third sector is brilliant.
And to me, we're heading towards communities which support old people so well that it's older people have the confidence and the ability to have fun.
Working with older people and getting them to do things that are maybe a bit outside their normal comfort zone.
What's not to like?
It's amazing how quickly the older people pick it up and how good they are at some of these things, and we kind of write them off, assume that they won't be able to work with a web page, they won't be able to use an iPad, all this sort of stuff, and they pick it up like almost as well as kids. And I think that's fantastic and I love seeing those sort of projects.
Now that's what I'm aiming for. How do we get that? Well, how we get that is having maximum resilience and involvement and control and power and budget and decision making.
I think everyone is inspiring in their own way, and I think there's so many people here that are doing amazing things.
The Ayla Cole Foundation is a charity which raises money for research into childhood acute myeloid leukemia, which my baby daughter had and sadly died of in 2012.
These are high stakes. We have to understand that this is not just a kind of talking exercise.
You know, when they told us that there was nothing more they could do for my daughter Ayla, I thought, you know, it's not good enough. There needs to be research done, so that's what we do.
The business of people, what they do with their energy in life, and whether they're able to pour that energy into the place around them, which they call home, that actually almost defines health.
You know, the volunteers who work for these organisations just do an incredible job, and I don't think I could say one because there's so many of them, there's so many amazing volunteers that are here today.
The adjustment that has to be made is mostly up here.
Now, altogether, we were allowed to take £20,000 of funding. It's not a huge amount of money, but I still had to make the argument that we would be allowed to bring that forward to let people themselves make the decisions on how that money was awarded. The idea of running this project was to allow people themselves to experience that decision-making process, but also give smaller groups and informal groups the chance to, you know, get their share of the funding too, because that's where great ideas come from, is the grassroots. And if they're kind of missed and fall through the gaps, then we're not really encouraging proper innovation or change.
So when it comes to this question of a community, I'm just making a clearly strong plea that in the business of your day and in the rest of the contribution that you make, and it's a huge one, to trying to make Scotland the vital, animated place that we actually know it is, you have a wee thought about whether or not we need more, whether we need more structural change to release the energy that is there. Because I know sometimes people doubt the capacity of Scots. Uppermost in that group, quietly, are Scots. But actually, the examples are legion, and there's hardly been a wrong one yet. Actually, we can cope. And that's one of the first things I think we need to unpick a lot of. I don't know who'll be brave enough to do it. Someone has to start.